extremely helpful because it takes away the focus of on the pain and places it elsewhere, on the breath or on a body part that is not in discomfort.
And, it's funny you mentioned swimming because somebody else mentioned it to me the other day that they thought it might be a good thing, but not one of my doctors have told me about that.
Oh, well, don't get me started on the doctors. We love the doctors. We do love the doctors.
Yes.
Western modern medicine is really a gift, on many levels. It saves lives. It can prevent disease. The diagnostic tools available to us are incredible, but they don't know everything.
Right. And especially about fibromyalgia. It's really not recognized in the medical field, and I found that out myself when I started going to the doctor to find out what was wrong with me. And that needs to be changed because there's so many people out there not getting help for it.
And they're suffering. I mean, there's a lot of suffering going on, and that is what I love about the opportunity to share the work that I do, because we can't make the suffering that happens as a natural part of life go away, but we can learn tools to manage the suffering and end the needless suffering. We don't want to add to the suffering that comes with the human experience. We just want to get rid of the needless parts.
You know it. I'm right there
I do
with
know
you.
it. I so know it.
Now, you also wrote a couple of books. You have Harvesting Happiness for Heroes, and is this a book just for the military?
We
and
have
their families?
There are 3 books. I have Got Happiness Now, which is a free ebook that is available to anybody and everybody on our website, which is harvestinghappiness.com and hhforheroes.org. Then I have Harvesting Happiness for Heroes Reintegration Strategies, which is a book about coming home from war and skills and resources and tools for dealing with the combat trauma that can accompany the war experience. And then we have Are We Happy Yet?, which is a book about, unlocking a joyful life. And these 2 are very simple, easy-to-read, short books that are all about how to find one's happy place, when going through some challenges.
Yeah, I did see yes, if I can talk, Got Happiness Now, 8 Keys to Unlocking a Joyful Life on your website, and just by registering you can get that for free. And I'm definitely going to do that because it caught my attention, and I thought, well, I'm sure there's going to be some information in there that's going to help me.
It'll help you. It'll make you chuckle. And that ebook is actually an interactive or multimedia platform. So there's some videos on there. There's music in there. There's the book to read. So it's a little bit different than the regular ebook that you would normally download and be able to have access to. But there's lots of tools, lots of resources. We have, our own weekly radio show, Harvesting Happiness Talk Radio, where we're always talking about this. And one of the things that we really like to focus on, too, is the science behind all of it. So you'll often hear from, the medical world. I love having neuroscientists on that talk about the brain, because the brain is where all of this stems from. The happiness and the unhappiness comes from our brains. And if we can learn to have self-mastery over our brains and understand about neuroplasticity and being able to retrain the brain, which is so vital, especially to the men and women who have served, who come back in many cases with traumatic brain injury, we see really that the world is open to us and quite vast for change. And this is exciting to me.
Wow. That is definitely amazing. I did download that ebook. I haven't looked at it yet because I just did it not long ago, but I'm definitely interested because I might not have health issues, but I definitely have some issues that I have to work through. And I actually had a couple of questions kind of touching on something with that. I actually read the message on your website, Flourishing, and a lot of it reminded me of myself. I saw it in myself. And I wanted to ask, what would you suggest to someone who isn't truly happy with their current situation? It's not necessarily a physical thing. It's just the situation that they're in, but is also procrastinating because they're either too scared or whatever their reasoning behind it, to push through and make things happen for themselves instead of just procrastinating.
This is a fantastic question. Thank you for asking it, because it is so common. You know, it is part of our human condition. You know, we get ourselves into a loop of a situation that may not ultimately be good for us or healthy for us, and we stay because there's a comfort level in it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the fear is not so much in the change, it's in purgatory. It's that in-between space. You know, what happens when we take the leap and we're in free fall and we don't know what that free fall is going to look like? So there are several little things that we can do, and I'll just throw out a couple. One is to find things that you really love to do. Let's say you love to dance, and for the last 10 years you have not been able to dance because maybe you've had some physical challenges, or you've been raising children, or you've been working 3 jobs to support your family, whatever that may be. I'm really making it up as a hypothet, but you love to dance. I think that, you know, one of the ways that we can have a few little moments of happiness would be to go and dance, to, you know, find a class or find a group of people or find a meetup online, which is another great source of creating community, and get a little pleasure in your life. And once you get a little pleasure in your life, you're going to lust for more pleasure, because that's the human condition, you know, to have more of those good feelings. So it's, you know, finding something that you like to do that gives you a sense of community and pleasure, that enables you to feel empowered with your voice or your body to feel strong and good about yourself. And from that place, you can start to identify tiny little action steps that you would be willing to do to change. You know, it doesn't have to be from 0 to 60. You don't have to drive this like a Maserati. You can really drive it like a Yugo, you know. It's a short sprint.
Right. Little baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah.
You know, I shouldn't even say short sprint. A little teeny walk or a stroll.
Right.
Or a crawl. Maybe it's just a crawl, and maybe you have a few good minutes in a day. And then once you get comfortable experiencing those few good minutes in a day, then it maybe goes to a few good hours in the days. And then slowly, after a period of time, this stretches out to something that is longer and becomes more the norm than the rare occurrence.
Yeah, I guess I just need to push through, because whatever it is, I still can't figure out what it is that's keeping me, constrained to just going about my business the way I have been, instead of and not changing, you know, to better myself and better my situation. So, but that's definitely, I think reading your book and looking through that ebook would definitely help as well. I'm pretty sure. There is another thing that's kind of crazy. I know I'm probably not the only one that gets super excited and nervous about something fun and exciting, and I just had something like that pass, you know, and it was a great moment, and I was just wondering if there's any special methods to help someone when they get super excited or nervous about something that's coming up. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable, but yet it makes them not actually able to sleep much because they've got just stuff on their brain that just won't go away, and they can't shut their brain off. That's what happens to me all the time.
Well, the anticipation, the excitement of something new, I actually call that the good stress and the good fear, because it's something that is it bringing you pleasure, bringing you joy. It may be making you tired because, you know, you're excited about it so you can't sleep. I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing, especially if you're able to recoup some of that sleep, you know, once the event has occurred. But if you are in that constant state of that high anticipatory anxiety where you're having sleep disturbance, that's something else. So there's, you know, the brief period that leads up to that event that we're excited about, or is it a state of being that is constant? There's a difference.
Yeah, that definitely is the case. It was just brief, and once the event was over, it was like I was able to finally go to sleep and slept really well, but I was still exhausted because I still had to, recoup it after the fact a little bit more. But yeah, it happens every time though, and I was hoping that since I've done this event before that it wasn't going to manifest itself the same way, but there was something else new, I guess. There were some new things involved with it, so I guess it still came about.
Sabina loves her soap people. she loves meeting her soap people from Days of Our Lives, and she gets so anxious before and overwrought, and then the next day after it's over and she gets back home, she gets depressed because it's over.
Oh, it's the letdown. So it's the letdown. You've got this build-up that goes on. You're going to get to meet people that you admire and love watching. There's the excitement. You meet them. It's fabulous. It's the dream comes true, and then it's like you go back to regular life.
Right.
Yeah. It's always sad afterwards. Luckily I didn't cry this time, but I seriously was like, I was really down all of a sudden. It was really weird.
Yeah, she has strong emotions.
And those are good. You know what? Those emotions are fabulous. Having strong emotions is a good thing, and it's what we do with them. How creative can we be with those emotions? Maybe, do you take a lot of pictures when you go to meet these folks? So maybe there's some project.
Over 200.
Oh, wow. Wow. So it's a hobby.
I'm an aspiring photographer, so that's one of my. That is really a hobby. Plus, I actually work at a portrait studio, so I'm kind of trying to use it as towards work as well. But I took a ton of pictures and I scrapbook, and I just haven't had a chance to get my pictures printed to get started working on it. But that's always a lot of fun. I always find enjoyment in doing my scrapbooking after the fact and reliving the moments through the pictures and trying to remember. And also trying to remember everything that was said or talked about to write in my scrapbook. That's the other key.
Oh, wow. So what I hear you saying is that the letdown comes after these events, which have been filled with excitement, and the letdown comes, you feel a little blue, but in reality you have created so many memories through the photographs and your impressions that you're probably capturing in a journal, or you hope to capture in a journal to transfer to the scrapbooking, that it's that little window of the letdown that if you can allow yourself to move through that, to start putting into action the desire of making the scrapbook, of making the pages for the website, for the portrait studio, or for your own portfolio, that it would take you out of that blue space because you'd be doing something creative with it.
Yeah, and it didn't last as long this time as it has in the past or could have, just simply because I had something I had to go take care of. I had an errand to run, and I know I was actually talking to Pam, and I was like really upset. I was like, I got to go run an errand, so see ya. And when I got back, I was okay. I mean, I was still, I'm still kind of in the back of my mind, it's over and it's sad, but it's not like I'm like super depressed about it or anything. So
you'll be fine, Sabina. Just get your scrapbooking together and you'll be fine. Now, Lisa, you also offer your services to businesses, organizations, groups, and so on. What would a business call you to do for them? Is it like a seminar, or do you work individually with their employees, or both?
Both. I will work one-on-one with people in a business or as a private one-on-one clientele. But in the businesses, I'm often called in to do workshops with the management, to talk about the importance of happiness and the dynamics of positive psychology and how to apply this in the workplace. Because if you've ever noticed, if you walk into a business, and I'm speaking of a retail business, and there may be someone behind the counter who is dour and nasty and wearing just a god-awful grin, it's like a virus. It's like the influenza of bad moods can strike. It's infectious.
Right.
And conversely, if you walk in and you see somebody, and I'll go to that metaphor of the lights being on in their eyes and a smile on their face, and not in a saccharine way, and in a really true, authentic way, they're just happy to be there, happy to be of service, because they are nowhere else in that moment but present